Here comes the Nastygram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Empire's End.
Hi, this is Dean. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Victor Argus, Operations Officer or Ops.
Hey, I'm John, and I play Lieutenant Commander Poro Randar, callsign Metalhead, Commander of the Air Group or CAG.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I play Gaius Loctus Vilfug, and I am the Medical and Personnel Officer, or MED.
Hey everyone, this is Dan. I play Lieutenant Junior Grade Nero Orn, Communications and Intelligence Officer, or COIN.
And I'm Josh, and I'll be your Game Master. This is episode 10, Making Deals.
All these hungry and green miles, forgiven.
Darius, brother, I hope you and the family are getting the money I've been sending. I know it's not much, but I hope it helps. Tell Mom the money's legit so she doesn't get uppity about it. In fact, the tables have truly turned. The Imperials I run with now, we've been getting outplayed by some ragtag space drifters. Call themselves the Black Jesters. The other day, they bait and switched and came away with over 2 million credits of ore. Gotta hand it to them. It was a smooth grift. More tactile than when I was working with Green, but effective nonetheless. We're on the sticks here. The planet we're stationed at is relatively unknown. I just put together some numbers on what it is here, and it looks like there's a whole hell of a lot more of them than we thought. Don't know what that means for us. And to top it off, there are some lethal and invasive little creatures out there. They can burrow right into your brain. I've been assigned to run some tests on them. At the very least, it's going to be interesting. And just a heads up, if I go dark, it probably means I've wound up in some imp prison. I have what you'd call a thorn in my side. A Navint gray suit. He hates me. Hates where I come from. Hates that I don't wave the banner. And if I'm not careful, he'll turn the rest of this crew against me. It's already begun. The irony is, I actually haven't done anything wrong. I have to go. My boss needs information, and the sources are reluctant. Dark work ahead.
All right, guys, welcome back. So in between sessions, we did a little bit of talking. We left off. There was a lot, obviously, has happened, and kind of wanted to kick it to you guys to prioritize what you wanted to do. So came up with a few things. So I think some of the stuff we were talking about getting to is a little bit of an overdue meeting with Kuiper Corp. I have a list. We're gonna do some. That
was the email titled Star Horse.
Star Horse,
correct?
We're gonna do a little light interrogation,
And then
a little heavy interrogation.
Yikes!
Light interrogation.
We're gonna poke the slug.
Tickling.
Gonna poke the slug, and then maybe a little this and that as we're fixing some things. Possibly a little passage of time, but eventually, most likely a trip down to the planet. So why don't we start things right off with a meeting the following day with Kuiper Corp. And you guys kind of had a thought, Dean, on how you wanted this conducted, the setting for this?
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I wanted to ensure that we had these people. I want them to be uncomfortable. I want them to be in our neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Home game.
Home game.
Home game.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe there's a conference room, or maybe something deep in Imperial territory on the station.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, something they have to walk for a while to get to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Dean, you want us to set up the conference table in the airlock?
Make it look like the Last Supper.
Just have pull out chairs.
just an event organizer. Sure, you want to have it here?
This is perfect.
Perfect.
Are you sure? It's quite Spartan. So, yeah, what I want to do is I want to put them in a position where they are just feeling uncomfortable. They have to walk a while to get here. They're in a room that's not super comfortable, but also not completely ludicrous.
Right, not the back of a Volkswagen.
Correct. Call it. I want them to know that they're having a meeting with the Empire, and I want them to sort of feel at least a type of projection of strength. And I understand they're probably pros and they know what's going on, but almost good that they do.
Are they getting pat down?
I don't think that's necessary,
But there are guards around.
but there are some guards.
And perhaps a Marine Guard to escort them here because
I
they
think so.
probably aren't intimately familiar
Mhm.
with the inner workings of the Avius, right? The ship that is the core of Reiko Station.
I would like Cass to make them a little uncomfortable with some of the questions he asks. Maybe that's a meeting we could have handled off camera, and that we don't need to witness, but just difficult questions about this, and maybe just so they, or Use probably does this, probably not Cass or whoever, I don't know, but just to make them go, whoa, wow, just so they. I want them to feel a sense of confidence too, like we have it under control, because obviously we have a partnership with them. We don't want to appear weak, but at the same time, I also want them to feel a touch uncomfortable, so they're not in a position to where they feel like they have the negotiating power over us.
I like it. I like it a lot. As the two members of Kuiper Corp are being escorted, perhaps by Master Sergeant Eust, to this conference room deep in the bowels of the Avius, who is waiting in this conference room?
Waiting in the conference room is going to be most of the senior staff, but I don't think they all need to be there. So let's say Orn, Randar, and Cheng. Roy.
Okay.
The Cheng, I should say. Sorry to confuse people. I think Roy's in a position to where he had a little bit of a run in the last department meeting where he felt Orn did an end around him, and since fuel is important to him, I mean, it's important to all of us, but especially stuff he might be able to communicate better than we can as to something he may or may not need.
Cool.
And Wilfug's probably there as a
Of
liaison.
course. Wilfug's always at everything. Should go without saying.
And you just love making the GM play like 4 different NPCs in every scene.
Yeah.
Cool.
Piece of shit.
But Argus is not there yet.
Correct. He's going to arrive a tiny bit late. We're not getting too crazy.
Got it. Okay. So the doors slide open and these two individuals enter, but let's actually cut quick to something earlier in the morning. This is something that we did discuss off mic as well, a command decision that was made. So I think it makes sense to have Argus, Randar, and perhaps Lieutenant Sue in the CO's office, maybe?
Yeah.
Totally.
And the three of you are there. And Dean, why don't I let Argus take lead on this?
Perfect. Thank you for coming down, Randar. Sue, please, gentlemen, have a seat.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Argus.
Sue looks nervously at you, Randar, like not usually a good thing to be in the CO's office from his eyes.
Yeah. I kind of give him a little shrug.
Randar, it occurred to me after recording my log that this station has many holes in it.
You're telling me, Argus?
Between equipment, fuel, and of course, personnel. I don't want to mince words, and I don't want to bloviate on and on as I'm known to do. So let's just put it simply. I would like you to take
Fill
over.
my holes. Sorry. Fuck.
That's good. I would like you to be the executive officer of Reiko Station.
Oh, well, I'm honored, Argus.
Your competence speaks for itself, and of course, there will be official write-up placed into your personnel file for your career advancement in the future. But for now, things must move quickly.
Well, this is acting, XO. I mean, I kind of gesture out. The CO wakes up.
Sure.
He kind of like shakes it off and says, "Oh, well, I appreciate it, Argus."
We must follow the necessary chain of command and do that which we must, and assume he may never wake up. As tragic as that would be, we must be prepared.
I just wish the audience could see the looks Dean gives me after he subtly, or not so subtly,
I was
threatens the CO's life.
listening to the last episode, listening to him ask whether or not there was a carbonite facility on the fucking on the station.
Wilfug's got my back, right?
Yeah.
In the pause, Sue looks over at you, Randar, and says, well, that makes sense. Probably getting a little too old to be flying, right?
Yeah, I've had one too many close calls. Maybe it is time to go get behind the desk. Well, Argus, I accept. And I hope I can do you proud.
Excellent. He claps his gloved hands, reaches
course,
across the
yeah.
table to shake your hand.
Of course, Bandit will be commander of air group and replacing me.
I think that's the correct move. So, Sue, congratulations.
You see him kind of take a deep breath and he goes, "Oh, thanks, sir. It's a lot, but I'll get it done."
I expect nothing less. You understand the tactical situation we are in, and you understand that there are people out there who want us all dead.
It's quite apparent these days, sir. Well, and keep your seat warm, sir. He looks at you, Randar.
Well, I'm sure I'll see the inside of a TIE interceptor.
Guess easier now that if you're writing all the orders.
True. Well, congratulations, Titus. I shake his hand.
Shakes your hand, a little pat on the shoulders, and cool. So we'll cut right back. The doors slide open. Seated inside are Lieutenant Roy, Chief Engineering. Also have, of course, Dr. Gaius Vilfug, Lieutenant Commander Gaius Vilfug, as the head medical and personnel officer. We have Lieutenant Nero Orn. Randar, are you already there?
Yeah, I'm
On time?
on time. I'm sitting on the on the corner of the table, kind of like Riker style, just
Fuck yeah.
waiting for them to.
Oh, really jumping into that.
Let's fucking go.
Watch out, all the chicks in 10-4. Here comes Commander
Here comes
Randar.
fucking Tom Skerritt. Vintage ass crushing Skerritt.
Human, Solari, or otherwise.
The doors slide open. Master Sergeant Eustace takes a kind of step to the side and nods curtly. And in steps two individuals from Kuiper Corp. One you guys have met before, Ral Torvin. He's basically the senior Kuiper guy, mainly the liaison officer who stays on board Reiko Station. You can picture him as, I think it's Clark Gregg. He plays Agent, is it Coulson in the Marvel movies? No,
I got you.
dumb superhero movies.
yeah.
So picture that guy.
The one that Loki murders.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
I don't care. And
Statute of limitations, folks.
Marita Falcona, Director of Operations for Kuiper Corporation VRX System. You can picture her as Laurie Holden, specifically in the role of Marita Korvarobas in X-Files. She's in her maybe early to mid 40s, blonde, quite striking, very sharp features, kind of cold, light blue eyes, and a confident stride as she enters the room. She's dressed very professional, in that classic space business suit,
Gray suit.
whatever
Oh,
that
no,
looks
it's
like.
not a gray suit.
Not a gray
That's-
suit.
That's imp.
And she steps in and smiles warmly and looks around. And she says,
I'm not far behind. I can, in fact, Argus, whatever the fuck, can probably see them. He's kind of coming down the hall now.
okay.
Randar gets up as I walk in. Our Kuiper friends. I don't think we've had the pleasure. I put my hand out. I'm acting executive officer Randar of Reiko.
Marita Falcona. It's good to meet you. Gaius, so good to see you again. She walks over and shakes your hand, Matt, puts a other hand on your shoulder and gives you a fairly warm smile.
And you, shall I fix your usual?
If you could be so kind.
Right away.
Thank you, Gaius.
Have a seat. We're expecting the commander any moment now.
Roy doesn't get up. He just says, Roy, engineering. Nice to meet you, ma'am. She nods, looks over at you, Nero.
I give her a kind of a curt nod. I say, Orn, intelligence and operations.
And I'm sure most of you know Ral, of course. Ral Torvin, our main liaison officer here.
Victor's walking down the hallway with Eustace.
Okay. Yeah, he is maybe walking away,
Not quite yet.
bumped into you.
I say, I just motion him to come with me.
He walks with you.
We walk to the threshold of the doorway. It reopens. They're kind of all gathering in there.
Mhm.
In full view of everyone. I just lean in and whisper in his ear. And then I tap him on the back and smile. And then I walk in and the door shuts behind
Do
me.
you say anything?
No.
Like, okay. He kind of nods and waits and walks away.
Ah, here he is.
Dreadful etiquette, I apologize.
No.
He's a busy man.
Stands and takes a couple steps towards you.
I reach out my hands, gloved hands.
All the good guys have gloves in their hands.
I assuming you met my executive officer and the rest of my staff?
Yes, I was just speaking with them and made the rounds. Do you think, have you met her before, Dean? Has Argus
I would
met-
assume so.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe once in
Okay.
a meeting like this where maybe we just exchange pleasantries. I don't know if she would have a reason to talk to ops over the past 18 months or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
not
been.
specifically.
Probably not.
No. She says, and Commander Argus, well, you have had a pretty significant position to fill in these last week or two.
To say the least.
Yes.
How are you?
Well, shall we sit?
Shall we? I let her sit first.
She sits down. Raoul.
I notice Randar sitting on the edge of the table. Pretty cool. When she sits down, I don't sit down.
Okay.
I don't loom over her.
Yep.
I'm not being a creep, but
Okay.
I'm not being super comfortable.
Okay.
Nero is sitting off to like one end of the conference table. He was sitting there like probably he was the first one there. So he's kind of in a weird position. He gets up and kind of comes closer and sits down.
Okay. Matt, is Gaius fixing a beverage?
Yeah. Yep. I'll make her whatever her favorite would be.
Nice. It's a Space Manhattan.
Son of a bitch.
Fancy glasses.
Where the fuck is
Hey,
Manhattan?
can you give me a space whiskey as well? Heard those are really good on
What
Mars.
was it? Oh, that's what it was.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
Call back to our fate game.
Yeah.
She puts her hand on your forearm, Matt, as you put the drink down and looks up and smiles at you. She says, Thank you, guys.
Always. Go and take a seat.
I hope you like cyanide.
Raoul has a good sized data pad in front of him. He puts it down. She also has a folder and a small data pad. And she says, Well, where should we begin? Commander, we certainly much to discuss. I think, obviously, there's been a lot of things happening recently, and, well, not just the past, but I think a lot of discussions we should have about our way forward and how we can help each other.
Very wise. I sit down this time. Now I sit down. I'll let Randar do the looming.
I'll loom.
He can loom. Warren can sit in the corner like a freak, and Chen can be like, why am I here? And we'll fucking get drinks and flutter around.
Marita says, Rao, would you go over the numbers? Yes. Well, just a couple updates. Yesterday, with your activities, of course, the freighter was successfully docked and delivered 250,000 liters of grade 90 fuel from our VRX-4 facility. So I hope that can be put to good use. Roy goes, It's a start. And he says, unfortunately, some bad with the good. We, during this same period, there was the pirate activity down on VRX-1. Our container that was taken was at approximately 72% capacity of various ores, around 2.1 million credits worth. I understand that in light of some of the emergent situations, that putting a monetary amount might seem crass, but just trying to inform you of what the situation was. Marita kind of jumps in and says, and again, ultimately, there was no loss of life, and the fuel, which I've been told was desperately needed here, was delivered.
Yes.
Roy says, don't forget, it's just grade 90. So, Commander, don't go sticking that in your ties, or they're going to be about as limber as a bantha.
Unless we really need it. In case any of those ne'er-do-wells come back around.
We haven't discussed the specifics, but I do like kind of the looming mechanic of like starfighters need something a little different,
Yeah.
and you don't have
That's
it.
cool.
Jet fuel.
Yeah.
They need jet fuel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And mechanically, so right now the fuel you got, basically the custom corvettes, the freighters, the ship, itself, replenishment ships, you're good for the foreseeable future. For the next month or two, probably. Starfighters, short,
Yeah.
matter of weeks. They could run on this fuel, but I would give like a mechanical penalty. Like I was thinking -1D maneuverability, -2 space speed, if it comes down to it. So
Question for you, Josh. Do we have enough fuel to move the station if we wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
the station can move.
Yep.
It has some maneuvering thrusters, and it would be the Avius's drive itself. Move very, very slowly, but you could move it.
Okay.
Argus is actually hanging back and watching his department heads talk to these guys, and he's just starting to make some mental notes.
And Roy, if we put that 90 into one of our TIE fighters, how will it match up against those E95s?
No, well, I mean, any edge you got on your little yanking and banking out there is going to be gone. And those things do have some shields on them.
Hmm.
I mean, they're only a hair below a X-Wing. He looks at Marita as he almost speaks out of turn. And, well, I wouldn't advise it unless you're in an absolute pinch. We can talk offline and look at numbers, but
Sure.
I would cut back whatever you have to cut back until we can get the right stuff.
Curious, Ral, who knew about that cargo vessel? The contents, the location?
Well, it's hardly a secret. We do have, he looks through his notes. I look through my notes.
Marita seems to be letting Ral do the talking, correct?
For this part, it seems like she's kind of sitting back.
You have routine shipments, correct?
We do have 2,000 workers on VRX-1. They cycle back and forth between VRX-1 and time off on Kaleri. They're on shifts, if you will. And the containers are in orbit and are docked with. We did have some limited security. They were not able to respond in time. The craft approached from the dark side of the planet.
Nero chimes in at this point. He says, your deliveries are a matter of routine, are they not?
Ralph says, yes, in general. And Marita cuts in again. She says, well, I'm sure you're aware that routine deliveries, routine anything, have been interrupted by current situations. The unfortunate events at Endor and the necessary reactions have put a strain on all resources. But we, this is a position Kuiper may be able to assist.
Just a point of order for you guys. Just to remember, Nero has hacked these guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys all remember that we know that they know.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense that they would, but yeah,
yep.
I recall.
But more importantly, that the directive from the head of operations for Kuiper Corp
Status quo.
is status quo to support the existing Imperial presence ongoing because that had the more profitable outlook.
Long-term projections because they've been so powerful for so long.
Correct. Exactly.
Understood.
Yep. Just so we're all on the same page.
Good to know. So
Yep.
we know the negotiating angle here, which is we know that they are in line to support us as best as they can because it's the long-term move.
Right.
Good.
Just
good
in
info.
case they were trying to break our balls.
And they mentioned Endor, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
She just said it.
Yep.
How long after learning what happened, did you plan to drag that cargo ship closer to Reiko for protection?
I'm sorry. The cargo ship?
With the however many 2 million credits?
She says, well, maybe you don't understand the position it's in as a operating mining facility.
Argus stands up.
Or is continuously brought up to it. I believe, Ral, you have requested escort and security for these stations. I think I'm sure you're stretched thin, but if we do not have the container there, we have nothing to put the ore into. And
Argus walks back to the drinks.
when it is full, we transport it. When able, under escort presence, of course. But we can't be strong everywhere, it seems. We have limited between the Empire and Kuiper assets here.
As Argus walks back, I just put a reassuring hand on Wilfug's shoulder, and I just pour myself a reactor core.
Nero chimes in again. He says, Kuiper's security, how robust is it, in fact?
Marita looks towards Raoul, and Raoul says, what type of security interested in? We have some physical security. We have excellent data security. It was a
Oops.
difficult
Sure.
hack.
I rolled absurd. I remember.
He says, we do have some
Who's
arm-
your chief security officer?
overall, it's in the system. Our senior security officer is Brent Tolchichi.
What is it?
Brent Tolchichi.
I am most interested in your personnel security.
Well, we do have limited armed personnel on VRX 1 and VRX 4 station. There's some armaments there. They can, at times, stand their own against some limited crime and piracy.
The reason I ask, I'm opening up a folder, and I slide. Do they have pictures in Star Wars?
Yes.
All iPad shit or pictures.
Basically, I slide a data pad across, and there's a shot of Otto Kelroon, a photograph. I ask because this gentleman here, a manager of yours, is a known abettor of the rebel presence.
Maria looks over, raises an eyebrow at you and says, Otto Kilroon. Say he's aiding and abetting the rebels.
That is correct, ma'am.
Argus comes back and sits down.
She looks to Rao and she says, Rao, do you know anything about this? He says, no, of course not. He's, I believe he's still on leave, down on VRX 2 at the moment. She says, if you would like access to him, I can have him brought up here directly. Any information you have about his activities that you would care to pass on, we can run through. I can have his personal folder sent over.
Dr. Wilfug, Argus says.
Sir,
What kind of injuries did we sustain at the hands of Otto Kelroon's antics down on the surface below? The ones that you can't put a price on.
would you be referring to...
The commanding officer, the Marines, the attack in the medbay.
Well, luckily, no loss of life, but we still have several Marines injured and our medical facilities...
One commanding officer whose outlook is unsure. He could die.
Well, he certainly will not be coming to consciousness anytime soon, and whether or not his body will recover from what he has sustained is still very questionable, yes.
I see.
And the loss of equipment, our brave combat against the traitorous rebel X-Wing insurgent attempting to sow chaos in the system. We prevented that, yes?
Indeed.
And Marita says, you believe Otto Kilroon was involved with this? He's it's a bit of a surprise. He's a decent, if unspectacular, career mid-level manager.
He was reported seen at the governor's party, and he brought as a guest a known rebel operative who
Victor looks at you and nods yes.
managed to create a significant disturbance here on VRX2 and caused substantial damages to both our resources and to our intelligence network.
Well, she looks around. She says, let's have Mr. Kilroon brought up to the station as soon as possible. Can have my shuttle sent down.
I can only hope that you find him.
Ralph says, I believe we have good tabs on him.
Victor smiles at how we're never going to see this guy again. So, while we're all parlaying and fencing and dancing about, let's talk about why we're all really here, shall we? We need each other. Period. Without us, the pirates would reduce this operation to rubble. Without you, we would barely have the fuel to get by against these rebel incursions. I look to Roy, the chief of my engineering wing. I sweep a gloved hand his way, is struggling to keep our birds in the sky. Without our birds in the sky, we have insufficient ability to properly protect Kuiper Corp as we are oft to do. If we can't protect you, you lose profits at the minimum, and at worst, like Dr. Wilfog will tell you, you have to deal with combat injuries. I don't wish that upon anyone. Lastly, we must renegotiate the terms of what we're doing here if we can expect to, in at least the short term, set ourselves up for success here, which it would then set you up for success, etc., etc. So my hope is that Roy can tell you some things that you might be able to get access to as you still have a way with your many contacts to reach out into the sector to find specific items that we may need to do our jobs here, which is to keep everybody alive while these rebels ascertain whether or not we can be simply knocked off of this little table that we're balancing on.
Marita's kind of been leaning back in her seat, steepling her fingers and listening to you, and she smiles as you finish, and she leans forward, smiles at you warmly, Dean. She says, "It is reassuring to hear you speak like this, Commander. It's exactly the kind of resiliency that is so important to see in our Imperial officers, especially at times like this. It's critical. And I understand, well, from what I've been told, that as part of a lot of more grand strategy level than I'm personally involved with, but the Empire's assets are largely focused more towards core and mid-rim systems. I took it upon myself to speak to some higher-ups in Kuiper Corporation. And in that situation as it is, I thought perhaps we could offer something to assist in your mission here, since we are both helping each other. Some of the systems that we maintain larger operations in are a little bit extra protected at the moment. We thought we could spare some assets, a couple well-armed system defense craft, a number of teams of Kuiper security personnel. While they may not be your Imperial Marines, they are trained and professional. And all of these assets would, of course, be placed directly under your command once they were here. I merely have to follow up and formalize the request. It has been approved pending action. It's important that we stay together between pirates and rebels and opportunists. There's people that might take advantage of a situation of apparent or temporary weakness. And I'm glad that it sounds like you men are not any of those types. We can keep the course by keeping strong together. What do you think, Commander?
Assuming none of the people that you are offering us were vetted like Otto Karoon, we should have no problems. But your generosity is noted.
She looks over at Rao and kind of nods to him. He's been kind of fiddling on the data pad. And he says, Otto Karoon from Bismari, mid-core world, employed 14 years for Kuiper Corporation, moderate education levels, mid to upper mid performance marks, married twice, 2 children, does have some confidential notes here, has had past issues with gambling debts and infidelity. That's, of course, between us. He says,
Sounds like everyone else, doesn't he? Perfect target for a rebel operative. You clearly know how to run Kuiper Corporation, Marita, and it's been a pleasure watching you work. Let me explain to you how these operations... Let me help shed some light on how these operations work when it comes to flipping these people into assets. He's the perfect target. He's somebody who has just enough access to be dangerous, and the perfect part about him is he has access to Governor Titus Redmare's home. He's just powerful enough to get access to something like that, and he's just off the radar enough in Kuiper Corp to be largely ignored. Infidelity, gambling, this is nothing new. These vices could have been when he was approached. Difficult to say. It does not matter. What does matter is that willingly or unwillingly, he was part of an operation conducted by a rebel spy to go after our CO. Willingly, and he's a spy and a traitor. Unwillingly, and he's an incompetent stooge. But he was duped, as we all could have been. I don't fault Kuiper for this. I fault the man. With security being what it is, and for an incident we had on this very station, which we have effectively stamped out, we just want to make sure that these men are vetted.
yes, of course. Your men were quite professional in their security measures on our way here. This is good. Lieutenant Orn, was it?
Correct. ma'am.
Will you be the one speaking with Otto when he's brought up?
Indeed.
If it's all right with you, Commander, I would like to have Raoul perhaps be able to listen or at least follow up. He may be able to assist you, and whatever action you decide, if he is guilty of a crime, then, of course, whatever it takes.
Indeed. I'm less concerned with the blame. I'm more concerned with the problem.
Understand. As for shipments, we have requests in. There are certain things that will be more difficult for us to get than others. Certain things that higher levels in the Imperial Command are putting a priority on to be sent to other sectors. So things like Starfighter grade fuel, for example, parts, things like that. But what you have, if you want to pass it through Rao, we will get what we can, and we'll keep operations running here.
I turn towards Roy.
He says,
I give him the eyes like, now's your chance, pal.
looks like I've got a good sized memory in that data pad. It should send you this request. It'll hold it all. See what we can get from there. Rao kind of smiles, nods at him.
Roy, approximately how much credit damage has been done to this ship since we started here?
To the whole station? Ships? Phew. I mean, I am the accountant, but it's in the, he kind of looks up in the air. How many is that? 7 figures?
We understand the pain of losing a 72% cargo capacity fuel ship. I smile at her.
She says, quite. Well,
I'm a fucking one starfighter's how many millions of dollars?
yeah, money is weird in
Yeah, it
in,
is.
in
It's
Star Wars.
super weird.
It's like,
You can buy a tramp freighter for like $150K.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think starfighters are like under 100,000.
Are they really?
Yeah. It's not like
Depends on the one.
you can't
Yeah.
think of it as dollars. There's not really like
Ties and X-Wings are up there, but
I
they-
thought you couldn't actually purchase
You
them.
can't.
Yeah.
no, but they like put a price on
Do
it.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then they say quadruple it if it's black market bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, They used to do that. It's actually kind of neat.
yeah, that's cool.
Marita says, so otherwise, Commander, I will finalize that request for those assets. As long as we are helping the Empire's arm to maintain a sturdy grasp here in Virax, they will be put to good use.
I say, Doctor,
Sir?
you are absolutely right. A competent professional sits before me. I look at her.
She smiles, and you all get a sense, especially probably you, Argus, Vilfug, you too, Nero. Fuck you, Matt. John, you don't know anything. No, but
John's going, sitting at his desk, making airplane noises and shit.
she's good at the game.
Of course.
She waited for the right chance to make the offer as soon as she heard what she wanted to hear.
Yep.
You guys are all kind of processing this. If she had a character sheet, she might have the merit in control as well as Argus.
Sure.
So
Nero kind of speaks up again, and he says, one additional request, ma'am.
yes.
If we could get the schedules for your shipments and any routine traffic through the system, it'll help with our ongoing security.
Of course. And hopefully your security remains tight enough with any issues that there have been on the station.
One thing I think is important, ma'am, is that you stagger any outgoing shipments so there's only one target at a time.
Yes. Understood. I'll make sure, coordinate that with Rao.
Horn has an extensive background in understanding manifests and shipping schedules. Perhaps your man Tolchichi should reach out to him.
Rao says, I'll get that set up. Sure.
I'm curious as to what his character voice will be.
Hey guys.
Hey, this is the
What was that terrible TIE fighter pilot?
I
was
can't
General.
remember. I need to listen to it again.
I'm the same way.
To remember
Yeah.
how awful it was. Star Rise.
All right.
What do we got over here? A couple of shipments. Fucking Tony Danza. Hey, Monica, can I get a blowy?
Marita stands, grabs her drink, and she says, well, this has been quite a pleasure to meet some of you, to spend time with the rest of you, and to come away reassured of the situation in VRX system and, well, to all of you and to the Empire. She raises a glass.
I oblige her.
Click my
And then
heels.
I say, would you mind remaining for a few minutes when everyone else departs?
To her?
Mhm.
She says, certainly.
Sexual. Super sexual.
Tell me about Telchichi.
She says, Raul, just be in the hallway. We won't be long.
I get up.
Raul stands up. Roy walks over and he kind of walking and talking with Raul on the way out. I'm not kidding about that memory. I'm about to send you about, goddamn, this is a hell of a list. And I got a lot of specs in here. So make sure you're looking closely at these. And they walk out.
Does he have a yellow notepad too?
Yeah. This is the noise a data pad makes in Star Wars.
I buzz for Use to come in when it's just the two of us.
Okay. The rest of you all
Yeah,
file
Randar
out.
files out.
I stand up, watch them go out, smile at them proudly as they exit. Used comes in. It's just me, her, and Used.
Okay. She's standing.
I say, this is the Sergeant at Arms. Used.
Yes, we met on our way here.
Used has extensive knowledge in shipboard security. This is his specialty. There's none better in the sector. He would get commendation from his man Cass, who, as you have probably met before, is one of the finest officers I've had the pleasure of working with. Why am I telling you this? I want you to be safe. I point to him. This man is going to help you get safe. I know nothing about Brent Tolchichi, and I don't mean this to step on anyone's toes, but I would be more than happy to send him back with you for a small amount of time to help acclimate you to what we call wartime security.
She kind of looks down and nods her head. She says, Mess Sergeant, if you would be willing, I think that your experience in these matters would be quite helpful. He says, Ma'am, of course. Sir, I'll work it out with Cass, but we'll get it done.
He's excellent. And we had an incident on our very own med bay. I think if I was a rebel operative and I thought, what a nice soft target that sits before me. Let's hope avoid that situation, shall we?
Yes, agreed.
I stand up.
All right. All right. We'll cut from there. And what do we want to do first? You guys want to interrogate some people? You want to play with a brain slug?
Before we do that, I wanted to
Poke slugs or poke people?
propose a new bond.
Okay. All right. I
know
like it.
we haven't done that in a while.
Like to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that Randar is XO and
Acting.
XO, and Nero feels a little on the defensive side with Thorn coming after him and the other ne'er-do-wells that are lurking in the shadows.
I think we call them duels.
Well, let's not mince words. He wants to try to establish trust with Randar, which basically to Nero probably just means chain of command. And he basically, if he gets some information that normally he would always bring straight to Argus, he's probably going to bring it to Randar first so that he can bring it up the chain.
Appreciate that.
I like it.
Just to kind of create some sort of bond and or trust in Nero that Nero's trying to actively help.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it?
Chain of command.
Chain of command? Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Simple. Speaking of chain of command, I want to make sure all departments understand that Randar is the executive officer, and that it does probably
Yes.
make sense to typically go to him before me.
Yep. That's the kind of one of the number one jobs of an XO is the
Receive all the shit.
lateral communication.
Yeah.
And like what the CEO says, get this done, the actual making that get done. Who does what piece of what, blah, 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 blah.
Nero's intent is more manipulative, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
He generally, his approach is usually to always go to the source. That's how he works coming from the private sector.
That's how we got in trouble with Roy.
Yeah, that's how he got in trouble with Roy. That's how he gets in trouble with a lot of people. So he might not carry that across the whole spectrum, but at least with Randar, I think that's what his goal will be.
Sure. That makes sense.
I think the exception in this case being Wilfug,
With
information coming up the chain of command, he can come to me.
right.
Oh, I assumed that.
Right. He would probably do that anyway, right?
Priority. If given the opportunity, 100% I think guys would. So where do you want to head next? I know, John, you talked about talking to the pilot.
We could do John and the pilot, then we could go to
Good cop
Will
and bad
Fug
cop.
and the brain slug, and then we could go to bad cop interrogation.
Good cop.
Yep.
Slug cop.
Slug.
Bad cop.
And something to think about. At some point in this day, you get Dean a request from Sector Command, basically for a SITREP, a situation report.
Understood.
So you don't need to write it out, but just we'll come back to it. But let me know how much and what you're telling them, anything specifically you're requesting or pushing back to them.
Okay.
This is your quote unquote legitimate, like, higher command.
Makes sense.
And the bad cop scenario, I'd written back in that email, my thought process was that I was going to kind of prime them with the droid and let Dean do the interrogation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And real quick, just one small thing I want to make clear. No, hold off on that for now.
Okay. All right. So there are 2 X-Wing pilots that are in custody. One wears the rank of lieutenant commander,
Wow.
the flight lead. One was a lieutenant, actually a Celestin. That's the dudes that were on
Ninum.
Neebnub. That
They're kind of amphibian looking, right?
kind of have
sorta.
like the cheek
Yeah.
flaps.
Yeah.
In Return of the Jedi, he was like the co-pilot.
Yeah.
Pussy face.
And,
Yeah, he was,
he's got some pussy cheeks.
Yeah.
Sorry. Little flappy cheeks.
The whole flop jowls. He's got some jowls.
Yeah.
He's jowling.
Got big towels.
He wears the inside of his mouth on the outside of his face.
The Celestin was pretty banged up in the ejection. He has been transferred to the brig, but is still under medical care.
Yep.
I'd like to make sure those guys have been separate. I'm assuming prisoner protocol here.
Yeah.
Yep. So Randar, you're, you can have him pulled into a room, would be the normal procedures.
Yeah.
Sure. So you're in there, and he's brought in by a Marine who puts him in, sits down. There's a table. He gets cuffed to it, just like all the police watchies.
Yeah.
And the Marine looks to you, and
We're good.
he steps out, shuts the door. You look at the man. He's older than you expected.
Yeah.
He's probably in his early 40s.
Mm.
He's got that grizzled look to him, and got the eyes. He's seen a few things.
Yeah.
He has his arms,
Kind of half crossed.
half crossed as much as he can, being cuffed, and leans back along the seat, looks up at you. What are you wearing? What are you wearing?
Can it fit through the bars?
Oh yeah. He's probably wearing his duty uniform, but not as crisp and clean as.
Basically, I'm asking, can you tell you're a pilot?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have my probably what would be equivalent of wings on his duty uniform.
Panels.
Panels, yeah.
My panel pin.
And Randar kind of sits down on the chair in front of him, and he goes, "Commander,
It's Beck Hellern.
Beck Hellern. I'm poor old Randar.
Are you out there?
Yeah, it was me who shot you down. Hell of a fight.
Well, good flying.
I haven't seen action like that since, Clone Wars.
He kind of moves his hands, and you see him push a sleeve up.
Mm.
You see a tattoo on the forearm, and you kind of like lean back for a second. It's a squadron tattoo.
Mm.
Boy.
Of the same wing that you were in. So,
In the Republic.
yep. So you did fight on the right side once.
Right side.
This fucking guy's gonna flip, John.
That's gonna happen.
Right side. What is the right side?
Well, you tell me. Me, people I fight with, we risk our lives, risk everything, just so people we've never met get the chance to hear the truth. And you do everything possible to hide it. Which one sounds right to you?
I don't hide the truth.
It's a pretty desperate run for a ship that was just trying to put out a communication.
Yeah, what communication was that?
Broadcast? I'm sure you heard it. I'm sure you know what's happened. I'm sure you are under orders to do everything possible to make sure these free-thinking people here don't get a chance to. God forbid they have hope.
Hope. And what do you imagine will happen? How many of them will die if they take up arms against us?
Some of them.
Yeah. More than some.
How many you think will really live if they don't?
My guy just hit you with Braveheart.
There's an old fable called The Story of Braveheart.
You familiar with 1308 Scotland? Aye. Some of you will die today.
And have you spoken to the Clary on Verax too?
Didn't quite give us a chance to, no.
Hmm.
Spoken to a lot of people on a lot of planets, though. Since I wore the same uniform as you. It was a hard thing to do to hang it up. Right after we finished strafing one of those planets. Under no return fire. Made the decision. So maybe you haven't been put in the right spot to need to make the right decision. Or maybe you are just a piece of shit that's good behind a stick. I don't know yet. Who'd you fly with?
Back in the day?
Yeah.
Commander Toro.
Toro. I think there's a Toro in my wing, one of the sister squadrons. Is that you?
Yeah, must have been.
Toro.
Battle of Richthof 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got my first kill there.
I got shot down the first time.
One of those clone bastards got you. Or not clone bastards. It's the robots, right?
Separatists?
Separatists. One of those separatist bastards got you?
Yeah, a few of them got a little too cocky.
Well, don't worry. Shortly after my first kill, I had to eject out. Floated in space for, jeez. Had to have been a couple hours before they caught me.
Yeah. Tough war.
Lost a lot of friends.
Me too. Made some new ones since then.
Blackpack. We're both soldiers. We picked our sides. They may tell you what we do is monstrous. And they may tell me what you do is monstrous. But I fight for those around me. My commander, fellow officers, enlisted, people on the station. You think I'm heartless? Care about all these people.
Sure. Keep your head down and don't have to think about it too much. I get that. There's going to come a day, though. Things are changing. Systems are dropping out of the Empire left and right. I don't even know if that's something they'd let you know.
Probably not.
Tide's moving. Even got some of your high admirals dropping out.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. The way I see it, the Empire's days are numbered. You talk about being soldier. We're both wearing uniforms, right? What do you think happens to most of us wearing a uniform that get caught by you? You think we get treated like soldiers? Who comes after you? Who's the next guy? Is it one with the droid and the drugs and the blades? Soldier to soldier, right?
Well,
Do you guys ever watch Battlestar Galactica when Starbuck thinks she's going to interrogate Leoben? And he's like, this has all happened before, Kara. This all happened before. It'll happen again. And he mind fucks her for the whole interrogation.
right.
That's what's happening right now. So
That was great.
you know,
Open.
I fully expect Randar to kill me
I just
within 10 minutes.
we come in.
With a tear in his eye.
That fucking scene in Geronimo where Wes Stewart's like, look into your heart, brother. And the Indian just turns and shoots the fucking soldier off the horse. I was like, holy fuck.
well, Commander, all that doesn't have to happen.
No, you're gonna put me in my lead, or you gonna put me and my wingman on a shuttle out of here?
I mean, depends. Depends on you. What unit you in?
Halloran, Beck, Lieutenant Commander, ST-075X9.
You gonna play it hard, huh?
Soldier to soldier.
Don't say I didn't try, Beck.
So did I. Maybe it'll work someday.
I'll probably be dead then. Well, good luck. Gets up. Oh, and your friend? Your number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he'll talk. Well, pushes out. He nods to the Marine.
Dan,
Yo.
you're in the intel office,
Mm-hmm.
and Nero watches on the small monitor as Randar walks out of the interrogation cell, and you take the earpiece out of your ear. So, sure, you had a little ding.
Mm-hmm.
You just heard and saw that interaction.
Got it. Good to know. Nero turns and presses a call button that'll bring the interrogation droid to him.
Hang on. All right. Up in Medbay, Dr. Vilfug. So you previously had met with Orn, and Dan, you were going to rig something up for the good doctor.
So,
Why don't you tell him what you did?
sure.
Giving him.
Dr. Wilfug, you see Orn come into Medbay holding, it looks kind of like it almost looks like an exposed computer. Think like kind of data chips and everything like that, but it looks very much like it was either pulled out of something or kind of improvised and put together. And Nero approaches you. Doctor, where can I set this down?
Is it heavy?
Not cumbersome.
This table for now will be fine.
Good. Where's the patient? He kind of asked questioningly.
He's in the back room.
I've pulled out the internals of one of the communication droids. It's a messenger droid system, and I've changed it to operate on a number of different frequencies so we can go through a battery of tests, if you will.
Excellent. Mostly, it'll do things similar to what happened that day that the Rebel ship came in, correct?
It's capable of that, yes.
Excellent.
Lead the way, Doctor.
Yes. Well, before we do that, I would like to ask, the commander mentioned something about possibly doing a sweep of Medbay for devices.
Nero nods slowly. Certainly.
Make sure everything's working correctly, yes?
Nero pulls out his own personal data pad, and you see him kind of typing away at it, and then you kind of hear like a soft kind of blip, 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 and he's walking around.
5 meters are in the room, man.
We're all gonna die. And he starts walking slowly around the room. I can make a scanners check, or I actually have.
That's good.
I
Get the
have.
flamethrower.
I've practiced that many times over.
What?
Except I
That
need a
noise.
second person to do when something actually appears on it, because the tracker's quiet until
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
dope. It's just that. It's fucking so unnerving.
That kind of it's like a heartbeat sound
Yeah.
too, which is what drives you kind of crazy. Hold on a sec.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Fucking yeah. That's how it goes.
I've got my technical. I actually have a
I'd
specialty in data pads, but that's probably more about breaking into them. So I have sensors too, as well.
Yeah. Let's call this one. Actually, let's call this security.
Okay. Yep. 24. For
24
my-
security.
yes.
Okay. And you're looking for
Any sort of
listening
anything that's
devices, et cetera.
broadcasting out of this room.
Okay. You do not find anything.
Okay, cool. And I do a cursory sweep of any areas that I think someone could plant a recording device as well.
Okay.
So one that's not necessarily broadcasting.
Got it. You do find one.
No shit.
Yes.
I wave Wilfug over. You see Nero kind of he's been walking slowly around the room with the that kind of blipping sound, and then after that he again does another sweep of the room, which at this point you probably think is a little redundant, but then he's just opened up a small service panel where the intercom is, and he waves you over, and then he points to it. You can clearly see there's a device that's running, and it's kind of stuck magnetically to the inside of the box where the kind of the intercom guts are, but it looks separate.
It's in the kind of main treatment bay, Matt. So it's pretty close to where the CO was previously before you moved him into isolation. And Nero, it is Imperial.
Okay. Matt, you see like Nero quickly typing on his data pad, and then he holds it up to you, and it says, "Don't say anything that alerts it to our presence or awareness of it." That's what the message says to you.
Nod his head.
Nero says, "Doctor, before we begin, I believe we need to speak to the XO. We just need to cover a few of the protocols before we begin this operation in case the CO suffers any health side effects."
Certainly. If you feel it's necessary to have him sign off, I completely agree. Chain of command and all.
Excellent.
Matt, you think about what Argus said about these matters, something about make sure they come directly to me. It's my best Argus.
Pretty good.
It sounds like totally a good guy. It doesn't sound menacing or sinister or plotting. You like to see the hands like
twirling
Was that a
mustache.
mustache twirler?
with his gloved hands. With his gloved
It
hands.
oscillates between comically villain and Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood.
Yeah,
So
So Nero kind of waves his nods his head like to proceed out of the medical bay and walks out of the medical bay.
Okay, you like stepping into one of the side rooms or like into the corridor?
We're stepping into the corridor first where we can speak more freely.
Or his office?
Until I sweep it, I'd rather we actually go and speak to either Argus or my first instinct is to go to Argus, of course, but now I'm also thinking about my new bond,
Okay.
and I kind of
I
want
like
to follow the chain of command. So
like it.
when we get down to the hallway, I say, "Doctor, I think we should bring this to Randar."
I left so I will have, Vilfug will have taken the device that you brought in. He'll carry it out with him, so
Okay.
just as to not leave it alone in medbay.
It's kind of like the size of a milk crate, so it kind of takes both your hands.
Okay.
And so once we're out in the hallway, Nero turns to you and says, "Doctor, we have to proceed with the utmost caution. That device is Imperial grade. We have a traitor amongst us."
I see. Well, this is certainly something that needs to be brought to the highest attention. I'll take it to Argus right away.
Should we not take it to Randar first?
He is new to the job, no.
He is.
Must be getting his bearings, dealing with the rest of the staff and crew. This is something that I think we should directly bring to Argus in his attention, and
If you think it best, Doctor.
I do.
Matt, take a point for climbing the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Rando's probably compromised anyway. So
after that interrogation,
We tell him, he goes, "Yeah."
I thought you might tell him his parents' name if it went any longer.
Yeah, right?
And Dean, give a belated, but take a point for ink control, just the way you set up the Marita.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give a point, a character point to the X-wing pilot because
Yeah.
he's gonna
He sold the shit out of that
He's got a new
message.
recruit.
Yeah.
Fucking douche. Also, just to make it not seem completely Machiavellian, it's not super uncommon, I would imagine, for a CO to say, "Hey, this particular matter is so sensitive. I would like to
100%.
be talked."
Yep.
Like, you could see that happening in Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys physically go to Argus?
But generally in all the movies, it's always like, bring this
Yes.
directly to my attention because
Yes.
I don't because I'm evil and I don't want anyone to know about it.
I don't know what I've done that would give you such an impression.
Yeah, right.
I would go direct. I would go there physically.
Okay. So in your office, maybe, Dean?
I'm typing up a thank you little message for
Flowers.
I'll CC what's his fuck and send it to her. Ral.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Sending it to Marita.
Just a thank you for your time type of thing.
Okay. You get a buzz on the door. Was there a door noise?
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's worse every time.
Fuck every time.
It's a 1991 like word processor / typewriter, those combo things. All right.
Like that noise.
But like those are the old school printers.
Hell yeah.
And your XO and your medical. I mean, I'm sorry. No, your
Lieutenant junior grade.
They're both standing
here.
at my door.
what do you call it? Coin?
Mhm.
Yeah, Nero and Dr. Vilfog.
Gentlemen,
Uh,
I motion for them to come in and sit down.
I
Gaius has something in his hands and it's bigger than a bread box.
He's got the bug with him.
no, he has the communication device that I designed to try to interact with the worm.
Gotcha.
Um,
Oh, shit.
I stop Wilfug from going in, and I motion you to me,
I make sure I have my blaster on me, and then I get up.
and I remain out in the hallway.
Okay.
I turn and I shut my data pad off and walk out of my office into the hallway, which I guess is the CIC.
Oh, is it? Yeah, you're
Right.
right.
For your office, yeah,
Right.
there's a corridor nearby.
I don't.
You know,
I don't say anything. I kind of turn and walk, and I go into
Out of the CIC into the hallway? I just follow him if that's
Yeah,
what he wants to
yeah.
do. That's fun. Yep.
we get to a hallway.
Yeah, basically, I want to stay. I want to
Well,
stay
can
out
we
of.
go around the med bay
Sure.
first,
We go for
or
a
maybe
tour.
through the galley?
This is where we. I think right now, Josh, like Nero's kind of position is, he wants to stay out of sensitive areas because that's where they're target.
Sure.
Okay. So, yeah, we get to a hallway, and Nero hands you his data pad, and it's an image. I took one of those awkward iPad photos of of the listening device with my data pad. I say, Commander,
Hmm.
that there is an Imperial grade recording device. It does not broadcast. Harder to find. It was mounted by the intercom system in Medical Bay.
I see. Busy little bee, that Thorn, isn't he?
Nero shrugs. Right now, I don't know who placed it or when, but we should consider ourselves possibly compromised from an internal threat, not
Well-
simply a civilian one.
Understood. Where would one requisition this equipment out here in this sector?
Most likely, sir, it was pre-existing.
I see. Perhaps brought as a piece of luggage?
Nero kind of nods slowly.
And who has access to Imperial grade bugs? I touch it with my finger on the little data pad.
I do, sir. And
Got him.
They're like, holy fuck, he shot him in the hallway. Wilfuck just standing there with blood on his face. Like, what the fuck? No. Okay.
I could handle that now.
No, hell yeah, no
Seasoned.
shit. You just fucking light a cigarette. You wouldn't even take the blood off your face.
and any ComForce officer would have access as well.
I see.
I can be sure that none of our equipment is missing. That would be step one.
We need to search personnel quarters and all meeting rooms. The ward room, this room, the CIC.
All of them.
Now that you know what you're looking for, perhaps you can calibrate to find it easier. And we'll leave them all in place. Now begins the counterintelligence. We'll mislead and misdirect. And we'll draw this rat out of hiding.
My thought as well, sir.
Great work, Orn.
Great
The-
suggestion, sir.
I had a feeling.
The testing, should it be placed on hold or should we continue?
So this device, where where the CO is now is very isolated from this.
Yep.
It's not going to pick anything up.
Okay. I believe,
tough
sir.
to bug a quarantine room,
Yep.
right?
I believe other areas within the room, within the medical bay, should be secure.
Perfect.
You would like to proceed?
I would.
I look at the doctor.
What do you think, Owen?
I have a high degree of confidence that anything we do in there, I look at you, will remain secure.
Very well. I have to go apologize to Cass. I'll have him be ready to discuss anything that needs to be done with you from a security standpoint, but he should be made aware of these bugs, as the rest of the senior staff.
Yes, sir.
If you find something in engineering, take it to Roy right away.
Of course. He kind of has
And
a
let the-
slightly bemused look to him.
And let the XO know right away. I walked down to see Cass.
Okay.
Since I requisitioned one of his troops and didn't tell him.
He's going to love that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Why don't we just jump right back to Med Bay? Dan Nero does, another sweep of the side rooms, confident that that's the only device
Yep.
here. So tell me, so you guys both going to be here for this procedure?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, unless this device is easy for me to use and take medical readings, I probably need
I don't
him.
suggest that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be easier to have Nero operate the device and you to just focus on the medical
The
reactions.
scalpel.
Word.
Nero kind of flips a few switches and turns a dial and then looks up at you and says, Doctor, I'm ready when you are.
Excellent. Let me gather my notes and a few of my devices, and we can begin.
Very good.
I guess I'd like to try to, I don't know how it works in Star Wars, but hook up some diodes to the commander's head as well as the chest, and try to take just like baseline brainwaves of him, but also see if I can detect anything coming from the slug as well.
I think by this point you've gotten, kind of whatever scanning stuff set up as you need to have continual data from both the organism, the slug, and the CO. So you have that. You add some more stuff for the specific brain waves, some of the activities that you're looking to target, and you feel ready.
Yeah, let's shock the monkey.
Shock the monkey. Dan, have Nero make a communications roll,
Sure.
and Matt have Dr. Vilfog make a medicine,
Oh, yeah.
unless you have any specifics under that.
I say,
Not medicine. I do have knowledge of alien species.
What's higher?
They're both 5D, but medicine has got 2 pips.
All right,
It's way
go
better.
go with the medicine.
I say, Doctor, I will begin at 432 hertz.
Hell yeah.
It's it's one of the first, I guess, most musical instruments, like generic
Can reach
musical instruments could reach that.
That's cool.
And you see Nero like flip one more switch and the machine kind of hums a little, and then he turns a knob, and then you can hear kind of like a low hum come from it.
Mm.
And then
brown
I'm
note?
rolling communications, right?
Communications. Yep.
All
All right, how'd you do, Matt?
19.
19. Not bad. Not bad.
This isn't subspace radio.
You gotta take that hat off, kid. Causing all kinds of problems in this game.
Where's your rebel? Your rebel
Can you take
hat?
it off before I go talk to Cass, please?
20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are at this for a while, probably like over an hour without anything. You go all the way through the auditory spectrum. You go through a couple different spectrums. You're an hour and a half in, kind of blinking your eyes at this. And you try something on as you're shifting spectrums and it's kind of overlapping. Matt, you see this reaction. You see the heart rate, breathing kind of drop. At first, you're very concerned, but then it's apparent that it's dropping in a stabilized way. The patient is like almost going into a deeper, slower, almost hibernative state. Incredible full body, like just beyond relaxation. And you kind of move away from it. It comes back to baseline. Try it again once or twice. And so, Nero probably gets the idea that it's something about the combination of things. So you try a few more things, and a couple hours in, you hit another mark. And it's very sudden. And Matt, you are monitoring things, and you look up and beep, 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 medical warning. You look up and you see the heart rate jump to 192 beats a minute. The blood pressure skyrockets, respiration starts picking up, brain waves are going off the charts, and you feel pain on your arm. And you look down, and Commander Hethna grabs your forearm, and he leans forward, his eyes open. And he goes, "Dr. Wilfug, what's happening?" And we'll see you next week.
Oh, snap!
God damn.
Cliffhangers are always in the goddamn medical bay.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Nastagram. We hope you're enjoying Empire's End. You know the deal. We're going to ask you to spread the word, tell a friend, post about it online, do whatever you can, ratings, review, everything helps. And get involved. Got a great community over at Facebook at the Nastagram RPG Lounge, or just pop over onto the website, nastagrampod.com, links to all our socials, and bonus content and more coming soon. Our intro music, as always, is by a Wilhelm Scream. Scores this arc are from both Adrian von Ziegler and Antti Marttikainen. We'll be back with another episode next week. Why don't you bring a friend?
That's nasty.
That's not bad. Do you always draw erotic stuff? Because I might be able to jerk off to that.
I was speculating on the holes, guys. I was wondering if there were glory holes.
On the ship?
Yeah.
No shit. Big enough to stick a grenade through.
Perfect.